Hi, my name is Libi, and today I'm here at Mission San Diego de Alcalá, and this is for my mission project. I wanted to do the video, so I'm gonna take you around the mission. This is actually the last mission I'm going to do, so I'm gonna take you kind of on a tour of this mission. This room is where Father Junipero Serra stayed when he was at the mission. This is where he would sleep and live when he wasn't working. The fireplace you see wasn't a part of Junipero Serra's room until the 1850s. This room is a part of the original buildings built here at the mission. And right now we are outside of beautiful Mission San Diego de Alcala's chapel. It is very beautiful. It's peaceful in there, and to keep it peaceful you have to be very quiet, and also when you go in there you have to notice the beautiful altar. They can have beautiful statues there, and you just are in awe because it's like, oh my goodness, that's beautiful. You also should look for sculptures or artwork, because inside that kind of represents the Christian religion inside, so definitely look out for that. And this place is where their masses would be held, and today they still hold Sunday masses. Right on that sign it says. This is the church. This is where their Sunday masses would be held and are still held today. Some parts of the church include the pulpit, the altar, the pews, and more. Also, the most interesting parts of the Mission Church are the pieces of artwork and the statues. The bell tower was very important for a missionary's daily schedule. The reason that they needed the bells at the mission is because they didn't have iPhones back in the day, and clocks were very expensive. So, the bells were used to tell what time it was. For example, the bells would ring for celebrations, naps, funerals, weddings, masses, work time, time to eat, and more. The bells were mostly made of metal. And now we are here in the beautiful Mission San Diego de Alcala's garden. And right now I'm standing next to the statue of Junipero Serra. Hi, dude. He was a great person in the mission founding. He actually founded this mission with Gaspar di Portola, who I worked on for my Explorer. And there is a variety of beautiful plants here. There's aloe vera, there are roses, there's just so much variety of plants in this garden. And there are so many statues here too. There are 3 statues in all. That's a lot of statues. They represent a lot of the people like Father Serra. They are very important of building this mission, and it would not be possible to build this mission without them. So today we are in a smaller version of the chapel, and this is where they'd have week masses. The weekend and Sunday masses would be held in the big church that we just went to. So here you also have to be very quiet and respectful. And in here, this is pretty much where they'd pray just on the weekdays. And there wouldn't be a lot of people because they were probably busy working on the weeks. So this is where it would be a smaller group. So it wouldn't make sense to have week and Sunday masses in there because it'd be kind of big and you'd have a little space. So you would just have a little space to have week masses here. And not just the Spanish lived here, but the Native Americans lived here too. They were forced to live here because the Spanish wanted to build a colony where it would be all Spanish, and they wanted the population of the Spanish people to rise. So it's kind of like when you go fishing, they like put bait out for them, kind of, which is clothing and food, and said, we will give you shelter and all this stuff. And they promised them a lot of stuff, and then they kind of like captured them. You know, like when you go fishing, you get the fish. But the Indians were really mad with them for doing this. So they wouldn't have they would just be forced to learn how to speak Spanish. They would be forced to do a lot of things that they really didn't want to do. So this one of the houses that is a replica of the Indian houses that they used to live in, and I think they might have also lived in them in the mission. And also, people had very different emotions when the Spanish came. Some people thought they were mean, they were cruel, they were probably really horrible people. And other people were like, oh, they're going to be so nice to us. They're going to be like best buddies with us. But some of them got tricked in, and then they're like, oh, they're not going to be buddies with us, you know? Like, they got us in, and we were really wrong to think they would be good friends with us, good neighboring. But some of them had, like, a plan. Like, if they start to trying to colonize, then we have to kind of escape from what they are doing to us. But some of them had the common sense to think of that, and some of them just were like, oh, I'm gonna be BFFs with Junipero Sarah, you know? That's what some of them thought back in the day, but they were wrong about the Spanish, because they were nice to the other Spanish, but they weren't that nice to the Indians. This mission isn't the original at all. This was actually a model of it. Well, not a model, but a recreation of it. And there was an original mission that was a little bit far away from here. But the problem is that they didn't have a good water source. They didn't have clean water like we do nowadays, and it was poor for cooking. You would get sick pretty much if you cooked with that kind of water. So they had to relocate because it wasn't good for their lives. You know, you have to survive with water. If you don't have water, you just go bleh in 5 seconds. So they moved here. So this isn't the original mission. This was the second built. This is the original of the mission itself, but it's pretty old. If it would be kind of crumbly, so they've rebuilt it in the past. It's supposed to look like exactly like the mission back in the day when it was first built, but it isn't the original because it would be very, 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 very old. So you have to understand, if you visit your mission, most of them were in an earthquake or something, a natural disaster, or it just was really, really old and it would have crumbled to the ground. And you gotta know that it might have relocated, but it's not the same mission as it used to be. So you have to definitely be aware of that when you go to a mission, or maybe just an old building, because it can't be the same. They try to make it look the same. It won't be the same, but they try to make it look the same. I'm so sad this is the end of our journey. A big shout out to the class for being respectful, and also a big shout out to Mrs. April for teaching all I need to know about the missions. Thank you for all that you do. Bye-bye.